family table instances. So this is along the similar lines, and the active model is still appropriate here, but basically what it allows us to do in a situation like a sheet metal model, where we might want to, on the same drawing, have a view of the flat state and also the form state. It also lets us do, it's not shown here, but an advanced ability is to do a table that might show us the differences in our family table items. So we might say in this case, A is 1 and then it's 2, and then B is 3 and 4, or whatever the combinations might be. We can put that in the table, and then we can annotate the drawings so that we don't have to have a separate drawing for every instance in our family table. Okay, but this is a really very common example. This can also be used with simplified reps if you're using that method, but family table instances is basically multiple models inside Creo drawings. Additionally, layers. So if you're not familiar with layers in Creo, maybe you might want to start the ball rolling with that. It's certainly something that's very powerful. People tend to underuse it, but it certainly can give you a lot of control with respect to what you show in a drawing. Also gives you lots of control what you show and see in the 3D environment, and is very powerful. Potentially misunderstood, so or not understood to a full level of detail. So it's something to look at potentially if you're not familiar already. Okay. So let's have a look at the family table. So if we open up, this drawing, we actually at the moment, even though we've got a single sheet, referring back to what I just did a moment ago, we actually have two models in here. Okay, so these models, just so you're aware, drawing models, add model, just for example, I'll choose a different part. Okay, so now if I'm to create a general view of that, I now have a completely separate model in here. Okay, so that's how this drawing was created. In the first instance, someone's placed a view of the formed instance or the flat, whichever one they've chosen, and then inside the same drawing, they then have the opportunity now to choose between those. So if I say, okay, piston, so if I say plunger flat is now the active model, and I create a view of it, okay, then that's it there. If I say plunger is the active model and I create a view of it, okay, of course there's difference in scales here, but I think hopefully you might get the idea that in the same drawing I've just created two different views of the same physical part file. But yeah, that's basically where we can use, that's where family tables are sort of related to active models and so forth. Okay, in this case, this is showing some other sheet metal particular information. All right. The last thing, which I'm going to try and get through pretty quickly because we're sort of getting towards the end, which is running, we might be running out of time. So if I look at this model here, let's say what I want to do is I want to open up that model. And for some reason inside my drawing, I need to show some sketch geometry, okay, inside a particular view, but not all views. So I'm just going to go back to the model and I've drawn a sketch in there. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so if I come back to the correct model, you can now see that that sketch is there. If you look carefully, it's shown in this view over here. It's also shown in this view, and because this is a detailed view, it's shown, this is basically this over here, okay? So Now, what I would probably the easiest thing to do is, if I don't want it to show in that view or to show in that view, would be to add it, or firstly create a new layer. Okay, so we can call this sketch, which we want to or don't want to show. Okay, now the feature I created was this one here, right? The sketch feature. All right, so I can, if I like, go layer properties and actually select that sketch to be part of it. Right, now, if this is at the moment the whole drawing, so if I hide that, okay, hide that sketch, sorry, yeah, so if I hide that sketch, then yes, okay, that actually did work. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. If I yeah, so that disappeared from that view up there. If I was to show that view, that sketch, then it's visible up there. Sometimes what we can do is we can use individual control, so we can come and say, okay, pick that view there, and then in this view we could say hide. Okay, so effectively that sketch now is not showing in this view, but it is showing in this view. So we have the ability for all of our different views to show yeah, those particular items.